Okay, so I had a divergent type of orchestrated dream today, and it was off of no sleep. Like, it was like for the 5-10 minutes I went to sleep, that dream took place, and then right before I could tell her no, I woke up. So I'm gonna tell the dream. I'm gonna tell the dream how it happened, and then I'm going to attempt to interpret it, of course, with the assist of those surveilling me. So you'll be getting kind of my take, and and I doubt that they'll reveal all that it encompassed. But there was what makes it different than the other dreams. I've had some interesting dreams, like those type of dreams in the past, but this one had so much detail in it that I have to look at it like really closely. So this is what happened. I was in a office type setting, and I was having an exchange, doing some paperwork, and prior to that, I recall making and drawing out some balloons. At the time in that office setting, the balloons weren't present. We're doing this paperwork. The female that I'm having the exchange with, she leaves the room for a moment and she comes back. Hold on. Okay, so if I leave out details, of course, when I go through this little interpretation, like I'll be revealing more stuff because more stuff will be available then, regarding the dream and what took place. I can tell right now that they're withholding some of the details. So the paperwork, she left the room and then she returned, and it was like a okay, good day type thing. And as I parted, Andre was there, and Andre is the representative that works at OMJ. You know, kind of like a um, person personnel, or maybe relations type. I don't know. Anyhow, he was there and he was walking me out. We were leaving the building, and as we left the building, suddenly I have these balloons again, and I have my red balloon on me that I've written on, and then I have like a white balloon that I've written on, but they were different in nature. The red balloon that I've written on, it had stuff like that had to do with whatever I was going through and stuff like that. Some things that might have took place during that time. And the white balloon, it had like this cartoon type drawing on it, and it had a penis and something else. It wasn't like real derogatory, but it was like rated adult. So anyhow, I had this white balloon to him, and he takes the balloon and he's like ignoring it, like completely ignoring the balloon. And I keep pointing at the balloon and laughing like don't you see what's going on? Oh, something else just came to mind prior to that. So as I'm waiting on him, her and I have finished the conversation. As I'm waiting on him in another room for him to walk me out, I'm like bouncing on these balloons like I'm doing tricks. So I'm like bouncing off the ground, like going really high in the air, and like just ricocheting kind of throughout the room, me and this balloon. And I'm like thinking to myself, who thinks this is normal? So it's like an interactive. I told you there's three types of orchestrated dreams. There's one where I'm like, there's the kind where I'm witnessing, I'm doing nothing but witnessing. There's the kind where there's a blended state of consciousness. So it's like interactive in a way, like I'm aware that I'm dreaming, kind of. And then there's the kind where I forget how I named them. I talked about it in another video. They're blocking it right now. But anyhow, in the ones that are a blended state of consciousness, because it's a blended state of consciousness, I'm aware that I'm being surveilled. So I'm still having like this external dialogue with the government that's watching me. So as I'm in here and I'm ricocheting with this balloon, I'm listening to them, and I'm talking, to them, and I'm like, who thinks this is normal, and then they'll have their commentary like, she's saying this and blah 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 blah. And anyhow, he shows up and we exit, and that's when I give him the balloon. But as I exit the building, I notice it's like a fob setting, forward operation base, for those of you that don't know what fob means. And they set those up a lot. I think they're doing it stateside too now. But I first came in, my first encounter with a fob was in Iraq. So it's a fob type of setting. There's barbed wire and stuff, and there's lots of desert, from a distance, and then there's like little buildings and hangars and all types of other stuff. And so I'm leaving out, and now I'm on my own, and I have to pee now. So I go into this building. I like cut off into this building that looks like an Iraqi mini mansion. One that's been destroyed during a bombing. An Iraqi mini mansion that's been destroyed during a bombing. It's what it resembled. So I go in and I walk in, and there's like checkered floors, Masonic. And I go like straight ahead. I pass some people and stuff. And I go into the restroom. When I get into the restroom, before I could even sit on the toilet, I keep hearing this girl say, like, stop touching the paper, stop touching the paper, or stop unrolling the paper like that. And I'm unrolling this paper, and I'm looking at the paper because it's blue. The toilet paper is blue. But not only is it blue, I'm trying to look closer because it has some... I'm trying to look closer at the paper because it's got like some detail in it and something else going on, like within the paper, within the toilet paper, but it's blue. And this girl keeps going like, stop touching the paper, stop touching the paper. And so I finally lean down and I look like, where is that coming from? And it's like a girl, like when I lean down like this, she's like pretty much bent down the same way, looking right at me from under the stall. Looking right at me from under the stall. Because at first I wasn't sure if she was talking to me, even though I'm like unraveling paper. I'm like, who is this? Like, what is that? Type of thing. Okay, so, and she's looking right at me, like, it's really odd. And I'm like, what are you doing under here, And, like, or maybe I didn't even acknowledge it. I just looked at her and was like, oh, shoot. Did you hear that? That's what they do sometimes to give me confirmation. Like, they knock within the fixtures of the wall. The other day, they knocked my planner off the massage bed. Sometimes they move the balloon. Like, they told me they wanted me to get used to them moving things. And ever since, they've been like doing little subtle stuff that I'm not supposed to get freaked out by. It has been working. I haven't been freaked out, but it helps to know like who's doing it and what's taking place. They've touched me before. But anyhow, so I kind of ignore that, like, after I acknowledged it. And then right after that, I'm like still trying to figure out what's going on with this paper. And as I take it to go to wipe, I don't even wipe. I'm like dropping it into the toilet because there's like something about the paper that's not supposed to be touched. There's something that did not make so much sense. That did not make sense so much that I didn't want to wipe with it, or I got a feeling I shouldn't wipe with it. So anyhow, next thing I know, I look off to the, and I'm dropping the toilet paper in the toilet behind me. And then I look off one of these times as I go to like drop the toilet paper into the toilet. And there's like a girl, she's like hunched over. You know how when you get in the fetal position, but like on your knee, on all fours? She's like that. She's like, and that's the one where I was like, hold up, what are you doing in here? Get out. And I get her up off the floor, and I'm like kind of assisting her to get out of the stall. And in that moment, the stall opens up on my left side, and then it's like visible. There's another female there, and you know, she's saying something. So anyhow, I'm freaked out with this whole stall. Not freaked out. I'm fed up, baby, with this whole stall situation. And I, you know, get myself together and I walk out. I want to know the feeling of the scene. It's dark and it's eerie. It's dark and it's eerie. So it's like, you know, maybe you hear some drizzle and drippage, you know. There's old things. Like I said, it resembled a old mansion that had been destroyed. So you can imagine how that looks, you know, like just unkept. So once I get out, I start feeling, you know, I sense it before it begins to happen. I'm like, something's wrong about this. You know, this is what I'm thinking to myself. And the building begins to turn. The building begins to turn. And I'm like, oh shit. The building begins to turn. And I'm like, well, you know, if it's gonna collapse, then this will be it. Or either I'll fake. They're used to me faking dead. They're used to me faking dead. So I'm like, that's what it'll be like. I'm like, first of all, I know they're watching and nothing can harm me. So I'm like, well, if all else fails, they're just going to pull me out of this. Like, they're just going to capture me in or something. But so anyhow, the rocks crumble and stuff. And as they were crumbling and things were folding and moving, nothing touched me. Nothing touched me. And I just kind of hid. And as soon as I realized it stopped, I quickly got up and began to, like, you know, try to make an exit. When I ran into this room, it's like another bathroom. I run in there and there's a female there. And we said something to one another. I said something to her. And I was just trying to get out. But I had already made my exit. As soon as I run into this room and I spot her and I'm talking to her, I'm like looking at this window behind her. I'm like, boom, that's my way out. Like, I go over here, I look at the window. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this route and I'll just drop down. And so she's like, something sent me back in. There was something that I went back in for. I forget what I went back for, but I run back in, and the building begins to turn again. The building begins to turn again, and I'm like, that's what it was. Me and her were talking about that, and she was saying, you know, that it was normal, that the building turns, and that's what happens. You know, that's kind of what goes on there. And she had like this like real dark look going on, real monotone type of demeanor. Baggy clothes, short dark hair, white female. And so I leave out, I come back. The scene has changed, you know, but the window's still there. When I climb out of the window, it's just me and her sitting on the roof while the building is turning. while the building's turning. And she's sitting like to my right, if I recall correctly. And I'm like, still focused on my exit. But I'm relieved in a way too, because she's told me that this is normal. Like, that's just what the building does. It turns. You know, they're used to it. She's not bothered by it at all. And she's sitting there. And she's not saying a whole lot. But somehow we get on the subject of food. And she's like, yeah, so, and you know, like, I just don't have the money. And I'm like, well, I have an EBT card or something. And when I go to pull out my EBT card, I have cash on me, like the same $12 that I have from the other day. And I'm looking, when I pull it out and I see this money, I'm like frowning, because I'm like, why do I have money on me? And anyhow, so I asked her, I said, like, how much do you need? And she says, well, the prime rib costs us $9. $9. She said, like, the prime rib is like $9. And I said, but they saw me calculating what she said and how it how the word, what's the word? How it, for lack of a better term, how it corresponded with reality. How they've been persistent about wanting this prime rib and letting me know that they want the prime rib that I'm making. And the girl, like, she was cool. It's like she knew me, you know, like, and I realized it was the demon that was playing as my mother later on. But so anyhow, she's like, they see me factoring in all these things, and it's quick. It's like a millisecond, you know, like in a millisecond, I'm like, this corresponds with reality. They've been asking me for the prime rib in reality, and now she's asking me in this dream, because like, this dream will affect reality. If I tell her yes, they're going to take my prime rib out of my stomach in reality and put it in theirs. And so they see me form the conclusion no, and they woke me up. But like I said, it was a lot of details in it. And as soon as I work it out on paper, I know there's going to be a message. But it was also them letting me know that they always know that when I woke up, they were letting me know that they always know the outcome. They always know, you know, like, in hindsight, like, even if I make small deviation, I'll always throw things off, but they know the outcome. So